All right, as we kick off the Mr.Taliaferro show, our first guest, he leads his team in scoring, 10th in the nation at 22.4 points per game. He's easily the catalyst of his team, the profound leader of his team, leading his team on the way as they try to make the NCAA tournament. Quite frankly, one of the hardest working individuals I've ever seen. We got UT point guard Kevin Punter in the building. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I got to thank you for taking the time out to do this interview. I know you're extremely busy. I know, knowing you, I know you'd rather be in the gym right now.
Yep. Coach actually gave me the day off today, so he don't even want me in the gym today. So I'm just cooling today.
Are you really going to abide by that, though? If they say don't be in the gym, that means Kevin might only work out once now.
I don't got no choice. So they kind of, they real strict on me when it comes to that. They want me to really rest. So.
Do you think you need the rest? How does your body feel right now at this point in the season?
I feel good. I mean, I'm a little tired. I'm not going to lie to you. But every time I wake up in the morning, I just feel the urge and need to, do something in the gym. But I know sometimes I need to cut back a little bit.
I kind of seen the same thing with Josh at this point in the season. Actually, a little sooner with him last year. I mean, just being the point guard and being the primary ball handler at this point in the season, you could tell he was, it's just the fouls, the double teams, everything was just starting to wear on him. Is that some of the things you've seen as well?
Yeah, definitely. It started in conference play. A lot of teams started picking up and trying to figure out different ways to get me off the ball and trap me and prevent me from scoring a lot of times. I seen double teams, box ones. I seen all different type of defenses thrown at me and just had to adjust to it.
Can you take us back? Can we go back to the JUCO days and just kind of the early basketball beginnings, getting to this point, starting for an SEC school?
Yeah. Obviously, I started on State Fair College in Missouri. I wasn't always the player I was today. I just pretty much worked my behind off each and every year, got better each and every summer, and really just worked my way to where I'm at right now. To be honest with you, there's nothing special to it. There's no magic trick to it. It's just really just working every year.
I believe a CBS story talks about you almost giving up on the game of basketball. I believe it was a conversation with moms. How did that go, and what was that about?
Yeah, that was crazy. In high school, you take a SAT score, some take a ACT score, and I took a SAT score. When I was in prep school in North Carolina, I couldn't get my SAT score, which had prevented me from playing college basketball, obviously. So, I didn't know what route to go, so I basically told her, I think I'm about done. And, I was crying, all of that, just basically really about to give it up. And she told me to think about it and call her back. I thought about it for a little minute, ended up calling her back and told her I wanted to stick with it. But that was just a point in time I was just frustrated. I didn't know what junior college was. I didn't want to go that route. And, I was just blind to a lot of things. But it ended up being the best route for me.
So what was the turning point? I mean, just with the work ethic, because everything I hear about you, people might not know this, but this guy's practicing before he has practice with the team. He's working extremely hard to get to this point. Like, what was the turning point for you as far as your work ethic?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. That's something I always had since I was a little kid. I was never really given nothing. I always had to work for everything I got, and that's kind of how I am now. And, I see results. I see it showing itself. But one thing about me, I'm never really going to forget, how I got here or, what got me here. So, me, I just stick to, simple rules. Just continue to work and get better every day.
Can you talk about changing your jumper? A lot of speculation about that early on in the season, how would that impact you? And I believe Coach Barnes reached out to you and told you he wanted you to change your shot. Can you talk about that adjustment and how hard was it for you?
Yeah, last year I didn't shoot the way I shot this year in terms of mechanics and stuff like that. But, when Coach Barnes had first took the job, he was, watching us work out or whatnot. And he first approached me with, if you want to continue to play basketball after here, then, I think the first thing you should do is change your shot because, he didn't like it and he just felt like I could have a more, better looking shot rather, than how I shot last year. So, he started working with me with that, and, it was a frustrating process. At one point in time, I didn't think I really wanted to do it just for the simple fact that I'm a senior in college. I've been doing it all my life while changing now. But, I listened to him and stuck with it, and, it's worked out for me for the best.
Speaking of Coach Barnes, could you talk about the impact he's had on you as a player. How impactful has it been to be under his leadership and his watch?
It's really a blessing. How I think is everything happens for a reason. And, I was placed into a position at the point guard role in which I never played before ever in my life. And, he's taught me. I've learned a ton of things from him since he's taken the job. And, I continue to learn a lot about him now. And I've been, playing for him for a while now. So, like I said, it's just been a blessing, and I wish I could have been here to play at least one more year with him.
He's coached so many other greats, from Kevin Durant and Tristan Thompson, what he got right now. There's just so many of the greats. Does that add pressure to you, or does that help you in a way? Because he speaks really highly of you. As a matter of fact, I've been to numerous press conferences when he just talked about how you could be one of the special ones. Yeah. And he coached KD and Tristan, like I said. Does that add any pressure to you?
Not really. Like I said, I try not to think about it. I could easily think about all the pressure that could really be added on me, and that probably drive me crazy. But I try not to think about that. Like I just try to stay focused, and all that stuff is going to be there. So I try not to focus on that and just try to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed. Make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and control everything I control.
I generally tell people, look, the team that Kevin's on right now, this team is undersized, but they can compete with anyone in the country on any given night. Do you share that same sentiment? What do you think about the team that you can?
Just the way how we play, how we compete. We may not be the biggest team, but I feel like we're a lot quicker, faster than a lot of teams, which gives us the upper hand,
You seen Josh Richardson. We brought him up earlier in the interview. Literally, you're doing the exact same thing he had to do last year. You're the best player on this team. You had to move over to the point guard. Last year, you were playing more of the two, getting your shots off with Josh. You literally watched that last year, and that became you this year. For you personally, how has that been? And have you even been able to reach out to Josh and talk to him since he's been with Miami?
Yeah, I've spoken with Rich a couple of times since he's been with Miami. Not too often. I'm sure he's busy. I'm busy here, but it's crazy. Last year he had the point guard role, and my role last year, I really just wanted to get in where I fit in at. Help him out, in terms of having support, other guys he can go to score the ball. And, it's just crazy how time changed. And, I'm in this position he was in last year.
All right, I pay close attention to you in warm-ups. Now, generally speaking, you're the one laying it in, never doing anything fancy, trying to get more shots up, get as many dribbles you can in, preparing for the game. Now, your teammates, speaking on Diedrich or, some of the other guys, I see them going crazy with the dunks, and I look at you, and sometimes I think, is this frustrating them a little bit? Would I rather my team be getting more shots up? Because you and Devin, y'all seem like y'all in a different mentality pre-game.
I mean, pre-game, it just depends what type of player you are. I'm just more the type of player. I'm going to do what I'm going to do in the game. Floaters, pull-up jump shots, just different type of layup packages underneath the rim, a lot of times dudes be on the layup line, they just want to, just jump, but ain't nothing wrong with that. But it just depends what type of player you are. There's a few times where I go out there and make dunk, once or twice, but after that I'm back to, what I usually do.
Let's talk about you in games. Now, I'm literally giving you both ends of the spectrum here. I seen you score 36 against South Carolina. Can you talk about getting that hot? And that was such a big win for you guys at the time. I think they were like 19-1 at the time or something like that. That was such a big win for you at the time. Can you speak about hot Kevin and when he gets it going and the impact you can have on the game?
I know for a fact when I get hot, I'm not gonna miss. When I get into that zone, to be honest with you, when I get into that zone, shots I start hitting is really shots that. All shots I shoot is shots I work out in practice. So when I start getting hot, all those shots is shots I shoot, when I'm working out in the gym and stuff like that. So, which is why I feel like once I get hot, I'm not going to miss because it's always shots I practice and repetition on. So, once I get into that zone, it's a wrap.
Now, generally, I'm paying attention to you closely every game. Usually, first couple possessions, you'll get a look up. It seems like you'll usually go for a jumper early on just to get a feel for the game and everything. Against Auburn, last time out, you didn't do that. It was different, Kevin.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the 4 points you had against Auburn, and now let's talk about Kevin, who didn't have it going, so to say, last night, but the team had it going, and I still was able to see a Kevin who was still happy. Didn't even play much of the game, but I still seen a Kevin that was so happy for his teammates. I think I seen Ray make a hook shot, and you was up cheering like, how? Now let's that side of Kevin. What's that like? Just if you don't have it going, how you can affect the game in other ways?
Just by being out there, being a leader. You know, I don't have to score. I don't have to do none of that to affect the game. And last night, my first shot, I believe it rattled in and out. And, I was to be honest, I was pissed about that because that one was wide open. But as the flow of the game was going, everyone was clicking. So, like I said, I kind of just fit right into it. I missed a few shots I normally make, but I really don't trip about it. But, I just continue to play. And, I got in foul trouble, so I was on the bench most of the first half. And everyone was clicking. I think we was up 11 at half. A second half came. I think I picked up a quick third foul. Coach took me out. Everything was just flowing, and I came into the game. I didn't even want to look to score, we was already winning. I was just trying to get some movement going, and there's no need to try to come in and just try to put numbers up. And, I was happy for everybody.
Kevin, personally, if y'all season ended today, you got to say your biggest win coming back from 21 against Kentucky. Seeing your emotion after the game, I watched it. You were just so emotional after that game, that big win, being doubted. You had people leaving at halftime, coming back. Can you speak about that win and how big? And I heard you say everybody wants to beat Kentucky. Can you speak about how big that win was for you?
I didn't even know people left at halftime, to be honest with you.
A couple people left at halftime.
I didn't even know that. But we kept fighting. Coach preached. We down 21, but you got to continue to fight and show where your toughness is at. And with us, we continue to, hang around. We hung around, and, we hit a few shots. Next you know, we was probably down 10-8. And then next you know, we were, it was a tie game, and we was up like 1 or 2, 3, something like that. But, it started to be a back-and-forth game, and we finally, just pulled away from it.
NBA player Kevin most resembles, if there's anybody. I know who I got on the top of my head, but if there's somebody you, as far as mentality, overall game, that you just compare yourself to.
I'd probably say Kevin Durant, which is funny. I watched him since Coach Barnes was coaching him at Texas, and since then he really always been my favorite player. Growing up.
The irony, I was gonna say Russell Westbrook, as far as mentality, as far as getting on teammates, as far as mentality in game, I was going to say Russ. All right, when we come back, we'll have more with your favorite ball, Kevin Punter.